evening, everybody. Tonight we are here for Experience Japan, Information for a Successful Study Abroad, panel discussion part 1. So, tonight we're talking about programs, and we want to get into it, but first let's meet our panel people. Panel attendees.
Panelists.
Alright, panelists. Hey, that's a word. So over here we have
Ashton Mayfield. Hi. I'm a senior. My major is global studies. My minor is Japanese. Nice to meet you.
I'm Stephanie Lohr. I am a junior at MSU, and I'm also global studies. So.
And my name is Celine Bennett. I am a super duper senior at MSU, and my major is Japanese, and I am the host for the evening, so I'll be asking the questions to everybody. So we want to make sure that we answer all of your questions, so we're going to do some general questions, and then at the end we're going to have a time where we'll answer any questions that you guys want to put in the comments, and hopefully we can be of some help to you. So, first I'm trying to get the comments put up on here. It's not going to work, is it? Okay. Well, you know what?
Oh, no.
Oh well. That didn't work. We'll just do it on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, Ashton, we'll start with you. What program did you attend in Japan, and how long was it?
The program that I attended was ISEP exchange. The specific exchange program was the one with Nanzan University in Nagoya, and it was, according to the university, it was 6 months, but really I was there from about the first week of January until the last week of May, so 5 months.
So you were there during the spring?
Yes, spring semester, 2016.
Okay, 2016. Alright, and Stephanie?
I also did ISEP, which I didn't know you did. I did the academic program where it went from, it started in September, because we did by Toyo's calendar, September to all the way to July of 2017. So, yeah, it was fun.
She just got back.
I just got back.
This is her first semester back at MSU. So I went in 2014 from March to July with KCP on their 3-month program, and I took a couple weeks for vacation extra, so the program itself was 3 months. And I also went last year in summer of 2016 for an English as a second language internship. So if you have any questions about that kind of thing as well, ask those as well. Okay. Stephanie, we'll start with you this time.
Okay.
What was the primary focus of your year-long program at Toyo?
Well, sorry. Well, depending on what you wanted to do, what ISEP is you choose the university, and based on that university you choose, they have a focus for exchange students. And one of the focus for Toyo University, which is the school I chose, it was their Japanese program for exchange students, and it's called a NEST program, and that was the main focus, because a lot of when you go to the webpage, it was mainly talking about the NEST program. So yeah, I focused more on the Japanese language.
Okay. So were you taking any general education classes there, or was it all Japanese classes?
Yeah, you had the option of taking other classes if you didn't want to just take Japanese classes, because they know that students need to take the other classes. So I took classes like globalization and culture and gender society for my major, and the Japanese course went to my Japanese minor. So yeah.
Okay. And were those like in English, or were they in Japanese? Could you take them in Japanese if you wanted?
You have to have a certain level of Japanese language, and it's determined by the JLPT, or you get a teacher's recommendation to take the classes, taught in Japanese. But my globalization class was taught in English, so it was pretty easy for me to go finish it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I sprung questions on you, sorry.
It's okay. That's fine.
Alright, and Ashton, what was the primary focus of your program?
The primary focus of my program was language and reading comprehension, conversation. So Nanzan University had its Center for International Relations, and within that they had their intensive Japanese program. So once you get there, you take a placement test, and you actually, after the first week, you have the option of either trying to move up a level, or you can actually get pushed down a level, because everybody has to take the second placement exam. Luckily, I did not get moved down a level. So there, it goes from 300 to 800, and I got placed in 400. So I took reading comprehension every day. I took conversation every day. And in addition to that, I also got to take an art class, Hanga, woodblock printing, and a literature class, which was, Japanese literature. So we focused a lot on the language, but we also had a chance to take extracurricular classes.
Okay. Awesome.
If I want to comment a little bit. If one of your decision or one of the major factors of choosing to study abroad is that you're afraid that the classes can't transfer into your major, well, the university has classes for different types of major. Like if you're nursing or something, they'll have some nursing classes. You just have to communicate with the university to make sure that they have that class before you apply for it.
Yeah.
And what ISEP is that they have a list of different universities that you can choose from. So you have a lot of options if you feel like it doesn't suit your major.
Awesome. Thank you for noting that. That's actually good to know. And me. The KCP program is primarily what I'm going to talk about. That is their full title is KCP International Japanese Language School. It's not a university. It's really long. It's not a university or anything like that. It specifically caters to people wanting to learn Japanese, and all of their classes are Japanese intensive. So you go Monday through Friday for like 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours a day, just straight through with a break in between, and you're just learning Japanese that entire time. And you take a placement exam when you arrive there, and that determines what level you're going to be placed at. They have for super beginners, and then they also have for the people who are trying to get a mastery. So they have some very interesting courses. In addition to the Japanese language courses, they also have excursions that they do on weekends and things like that that are included in the program cost. And so Japanese is the primary focus of that program. When you transfer it back to MSU, you can only get Japanese. Unless you make a really good case for it, you really can only get Japanese language credit for the classes that you take at KCP. So if you're looking for Japanese credit, all of these would be a good option. But if you're looking for a mix of normal gen ed and Japanese credit, KCP might not be your best fit. My internship was literally just, I spoke English every day. It was not anything to do with Japanese. Took a few English classes, and that's all. Yeah. Alright, so we fixed that. Alright, so the next question is how well supported we felt on our programs. I'm gonna start this one. So on both of my programs, I felt extremely supported. I felt like if I got into any kind of problem, that there was somebody that I could contact, that I could give a number to, and the Japanese person trying to help me could talk to that person, and then they could help me somehow. I felt really well supported on both my internship as well as KCP. At KCP, they have 2 people who are program coordinators who are specifically devoted to helping students succeed and make sure that they don't run into problems. Not my personal experience, but somebody got stopped when they didn't have their passport on them, and that's a big issue in Japan. And so they had to go to the police station, and so the program coordinator actually went to the police station and helped them on a weekend. So KCP really supports their students. So I felt really well supported.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
What about you?
Well, actually, you might as well go.
Yeah, I felt really well supported both by my school and I had a host family. My host family wasn't there that often actually, because everybody in the family had a job, but when they were there, they really tried to get me to leave the house because I didn't want to. And they were always very encouraging. Every student at Nanzan got their own advisor based on their student number. It was actually really well organized. So you could talk to your advisor about switching classes within the first week or dropping classes. Everybody had their own mailbox, so we got our grades back in that mailbox every day, which was in the office for the Center of International Relations. So you're really encouraged to talk to the staff whenever you have any issues, and they'll help you out with filling out like discounts for the Shinkansen, like student discounts for that. They also had counseling available if you were having a hard time, which I went to because I had a hard time. So I think Nanzan was pretty supportive. I didn't deal with ISEP directly, so I can't really comment on that.
Okay, what about you, Stephanie?
I think it just depends on the program, like how supported you want to feel. For me, I looked around a bit and I saw that ISEP, what they do is they take you to a country and they kind of just leave you there because they want you to do firsthand and experience yourself. And if your university wants to help you, that's great, they can. But if you really need help, you can always contact ISEP and they'll contact you. Because I had some problems with like my transcript and stuff, but they replied like in a day, like within those 2 hours. So I felt very supportive. And some people who want more of a support, like for the program to always be like checking up on you every hour, then maybe ISEP's not good for you. But I felt like it was a good program because I didn't really want the constant nagging. So I think it was really good. And my university, they supported us as much as they could. And it was good because I lived in a dorm and we had a lot of resident assistants that helped us. So they would come and help us with any documents that we need, like with our bank account or something, or, you know, leaving the application you have to write to leave the city. That was a headache, yeah. But, you know, we had the RAs help us do that, and we felt really, I felt really supported. And I know one of my friends who, like, was a roommate, she felt supported too. Like, it wasn't that hard to communicate with other people. Yeah, it's not hard to find support once you're an exchange student. You just have to know where to look. Yeah.
Was there any kind of support for your classes, like English support for a Japanese class or anything like that? Or were your Japanese classes in English?
I guess I'll go. My Japanese classes were about 90% in Japanese. The teacher only spoke English to explain things, and when we derailed the conversation by speaking in English, or we just didn't understand it all. So pretty, like, it was pretty immersive. But they did have tutoring outside of class. I remember, because there's this kind of funny story, I was not doing well in my class, and my teacher was like, you know what, you should go to tutoring. And I was like, what, me? Because I thought she meant I should tutor other students. But she was like, no, you need to take this sheet, take it to the tutoring center and get it signed so that I know that you're going to tutoring. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So,
That was really nice because it was the same. My classroom, our Japanese language program classes, they were taught in like 90% Japanese and 10% English most of the time. Like if we needed help, like really bad, and we did not completely understand, then we try to explain it in simple English. Then we're like, okay, now we understand. But that's really cool because we didn't have a tutor center. And a lot of the teachers, they encouraged us to meet them at their offices. But we're students, we're kind of intimidated by them, especially if it's in a different country. So they also encouraged us to get help from other Japanese students, like our friends and stuff. So we didn't have a tutor area, which would have been, I think, really beneficial. So.
Okay. And at KCP, the classes are 100% in Japanese. The professors kind of, one of my professors was like, I'm going to slap you on the hand the next time you speak English to me. So, and one of them would be like, you owe me $1 every time you speak English, or you owe me 100 yen every time you speak English. He was kidding, of course, but they are really specific. They don't want you to speak English in the classes. But they do have like a 1 time a week English support class that you can go to with all of your questions. And then they also actually have this, I brought it because I thought it'd be helpful. They had a handy dandy grammatical notes book in English for each level, so that way if you're in class and you don't understand something, then you can just look it up and be like, okay, I'm not going crazy. So yeah. Speaking of textbooks,
I should have brought mine.
I didn't think to tell you guys. Did your program provide you textbooks, or did you have to buy them?
Forgot about that.
My program, for the first maybe 2 or 3 months, we used Genki. We started at, I think, chapter 15 in Genki 2, and we completed the book. And then from then on, we used materials provided by the school. I actually forgot I was also taking a translation class. So the translation class had its own book. My reading and writing classes also had their own books that corresponded with the chapters in Genki. So basically, yeah, we were provided textbooks for everything.
Nice. That's nice. we were not provided textbooks. We had a list. Because we were in different levels, but each level had their own textbook they had to buy, and it wasn't expensive. I was very surprised by the textbook price in Japan. Because, for my macroeconomics class, I have a textbook that's like $170. Yeah, I know. I don't think I'm going to buy it. But anyway, in Japan, one of the integrated Japanese, the grammar and stuff, is only like $20. I was like, oh my god, it's only $20.
Yeah.
Versus $100 or $50 I have to pay here, right? That's all. But I added up because we had 5 or 4 different textbooks. It wasn't Genki, so it was a different textbook that we used, and I should have brought it back.
It's fine. I didn't tell you guys to, and I thought of it at the last minute, so I brought mine. So were yours? So yours were made by Nanzan.
Yeah,
the last ones were.
Yeah, and I don't mean to imply that we didn't use Genki at all. We did. I didn't bring my Genki book because I had it on my phone, so I never brought my textbook to class that much. But we used it in conjunction with the stuff that they provided. So.
Were the textbooks that Toyo University had you buy, were they made by Toyo, or were they made by outside publishers?
They were made by outside publishers, yeah. So
okay. I didn't know if they were. So because I do have mine, so for KCP, luckily they provide all of them, and actually this is Mina no Nihongo. It's a really good book, and the professor actually they expect you to do your homework. They look at it every single day.
Yeah.
You're not gonna skip by and pass the class if you don't do your homework. But with every chapter of this, you get a chapter in here that explains all the grammatical stuff in it. So if you're not, this book isn't entirely in Japanese, so this book is extremely helpful. And this is actually made by KCP. This one is not. This one is. But they do that so that way you don't get lost. I was in level 1 also, so I wasn't the highest level or anything like that, so I didn't know as much. And then you also have a kanji book that they provide as well. So you just have kanji homework as well. And they all provide those books that comes out of your program fee. Okay. Next. Now that we have gone from the derailed questions, I just springing new questions on you all the time.
That's okay.
Okay, so Stephanie, we're going to start with you this time. Looking back at your program, including everything that was in your program cost, was your program worth the price you paid? So we're not talking about trips you took on the side that came out of your own pocket, but things that because you paid for them in your program costs, you got to do them. So your classes, everything, side trips that were supported by the university.
I think it was pretty worth it because for ISEP, you pay Missouri State tuition and fees. Like for me, I lived in a dorm in Japan, so I had to pay their room and board, and that was like $7,000 to $9,000 a semester. What students here usually pay, and in Japan, I think that I got my money's worth, honestly, because the dorm we lived in was really nice, and the support we got was really good because our resident assistants, they were awesome. Like, I am so thankful we have them, and they are great.
Next
friends.
week.
Yeah. And anyways, I really think I think I got my money's worth for it, so I can say for myself. But
did you get to go on like side trips or anything like that was included in your program cost?
Well, I really liked my university because they had, for the break, they had an option for us to help them, like teach English, do an English program with them, and they paid you for it. So that's nice. And we also had an option for homestay on the weekend, and that was free for the exchange students, so that was really nice. And at the end of the weekend, you got to experience a matsuri. You got to sell, like the chocolate bananas at a matsuri or do the dances, and it was really cool, and a lot of people really loved it. So I thought that was really great. So yeah.
Were there trips that you could go on that were within Toyo University, like you had to be at university, you had to be at Toyo to go on them, but maybe you had to pay for them yourself? Were there anything like that?
We had field trips.
Okay.
If that.
Did you have to pay for those at all?
No. Well.
Besides like obvious things like food?
Yeah, like if we went on a okonomiyaki one, and we had to pay for the food, it was cheap though, it was like only 500 yen.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't that much. But, and you paid for your own transportation, but how are they going to reimburse 100 yen for the transportation? It's not that far. Yeah, but I loved my first semester because we had an amazing teacher, and we went on excursions in that class every other week.
Well,
yeah, it was really great. So I loved it.
Awesome. Which class was it?
It was Japanese culture, Japanology.
just a reminder, she went to Toyo University for 1 year. In case you came in a little bit late, Toyo University for 1 year, Nanzan University for 6 months, KCP for 3 months, and these two went with ISEP. These two went with ISEP, and I just went with the direct program through MSU. Okay, so Ashton, looking back at your program, considering everything, was it worth it?
Yeah, I think it's worth it because, like Stephanie said, you pay the same amount that you would pay to go to the cheapest dorm on campus, actually.
Yeah.
And going through ISEP, I think you only really pay about 500 and maybe 600 extra on top of all the school fees that you normally pay to MSU and the dorm fee that they charge you for. And at Nanzan, we did have a lot of field trips, like just about every week there was something new going on. They encourage you to sign up for the newsletter and register for trips all the time. Some of them were free, and some of them you had to pay a little bit extra. Some field trips I went on were to the planetarium downtown, or the science museum that had a planetarium in it. And we went on a field trip to make clay thingies and put them in a kiln and do pottery and stuff. So that was fun. I should have gone on more field trips, but I didn't. So yeah, definitely for the support and the options that we had, I definitely think that my program through my university was worth it. I don't know if I can say the same about other schools, but Nanzan, I think, is worth the money that you pay.
How about you, Celine?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think my KCP program was very much worth it. At the time, I got a lot of Japanese. My Japanese grew exponentially, but of course, my own studies after that caused it to decline a little bit. But the program itself really helped me to learn Japanese, and it really, with the amount of support and the excursions that we got to take, they had a excursion outside of Tokyo to Kamakura where the giant Buddha is, and that was paid for entirely by our program costs. We just had to pay for like those random things you do on a trip, like buy a souvenir. But food and things like that were generally, and transportation were taken care of. They also provided us with a transportation, they would either provide you with a given route from your living accommodation to the school, and they would supply you with transportation money for that. Or if you chose a different route like I did, it was just so much less horrible and crowded in the mornings if I chose this different route. They still gave me that same amount of money for the original route. I just had to pay a little bit extra. But they provide transportation money, and they also take you on excursions every weekend. Like, I got to go see part of a kabuki play because of the program, and the coordinator took us to it, and it was like a preview thing. But I wouldn't have been able to set that up, and I would not have paid like hundreds of dollars to go see a kabuki play, which I'm sure is probably how expensive it is. I don't know exactly, but I wouldn't have paid to go see it. I think it was really worth it, and I think if you're looking for a short-term program, then KCP is a good option. And if you're trying to keep it, under like so much money, it's also a good option. I think it's just as good an option as ISEP is. So I think it's something that you should consider. Even I didn't ask you guys that question. Yes.
How much was the KCP like a rough estimate? Did you pay for
3 months? If you arrange your own housing, I know that the courses themselves cost $2,900, and I did a homestay, so I paid about $8,700 because they also had to pay the family to feed me. But I think I could have made it cheaper if I had found my own housing. But we'll talk about that next week.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. And also with ISEP, what they do is they give you a certain amount of money for your semester or something, right?
I think, you pay it as part of your program costs, and then they refund it to you for like your food and transportation stipend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't know I was going to be getting that. And I was like, oh, I have money.
Yeah, it's like around $1,000 or so per semester. It's kind of like your bare meals in a sense. Like, depending on your school, either if you eat in the cafeteria for free or something, then they'll give you that meal coupons or so. But if your university doesn't do that, then you'll get them in your bank account that way. So yeah.
So they're making you pay it in the program fees so that they know that when you go into Japan, you're not going there with a plan to starve.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So you're not going to go there and not have any money for food.
I would have starved.
Okay. Also, my internship was completely unpaid. I spent money on that. That was an expense, and it took money from me. But it was a good expense, honestly, in the long run. I think I really enjoyed that. But I definitely, if you're going to get an internship in Japan, you better have some money saved up, or have loans, or you better find a paid internship, because those can just, housing costs, man, in Japan are expensive. And I was in this little tiny town, and it was still expensive. So that's my note on that. But I still think that program was worth it. It was with Ibaraki Christian University, and it says Christian in the title of it, but it's not like super Christian. It's not super Christian. So.
Yeah, Nanzan. I was just going to say Nanzan is technically a Catholic university.
Oh.
And we actually did have like nuns and people who were doing the religious program.
I did not know that.
Yeah, some of them were part of our language studies, so they have like a chapel, and the president is like German, and
Oh my god, that's
yeah,
so
so it's a pretty interesting place. So,
cool. Yeah. Mine is still run by an old Japanese man.
So that's a good thing to note, though. So for your program, there was like some kind of Western religion things available in your general area.
Yeah.
Not that you necessarily attended them, but you knew of, like, they were there.
Yeah, so I guess if you're religious, you can go to Nanzan and feel supported.
I guess. Yeah. And I was in Tokyo. So they have churches if you ever feel your religious side needs to be replenished. You could go there and stuff.
There are churches, there's like all different, there's a really wide variety of churches in Tokyo actually. They're like kind of far and few spread between, but it's still 2% of the population there is Christian. So there are options for you there if that's the kind of thing you're looking for as well. I just thought of that, so I wanted to mention that since we're in Missouri. Last thing, what was your favorite part of the program? And it can be anything related specifically to the program, preferably.
Wait, aren't you? Oh, okay. I guess I'll start since everybody's staring at me. My favorite part of the program, I already said my host family was really nice, but they were. I really enjoyed living with them. But if I had to say something specific to the school and the program itself, it would probably be that my teachers were all very nice and supportive as well. They really cared about you. If you skipped class, they would be like, "Oh no, why weren't you here? Were you sick?" I have some stories about skipping class. Maybe we can talk about that some other time. But yeah, so it was a very supportive place. Lots of stuff. I mean, the campus was okay too. So
Okay.
I also thought it was a good location with a good metro. So
Okay.
Did you use the metro at all?
I did, not as much as my classmates. Oh, also my classmates were great. They came from all over the world. They were really friendly. We went on trips together sometimes, and mostly when I did go out into the city, I would go with them. I didn't have a monthly pass, but a lot of the other students did buy the monthly train passes. Because if you get one, you can just hop on the train whenever you want and be like, "Oh, it's paid for." So, yeah.
Okay. What about you? What's your favorite part of your program at Toyo?
Yeah, I really like the diverse sets of friends that I made over there. They're really great. Like, I still talk to them, and we still, voice call and stuff. So I think that's one of the things that you should do. Like, make new friends from different backgrounds. Because that's like, this is your only time to do that. I mean, you could do it anytime, but you guys struggle together, during class, and during learning a new language together, that you have this bond that you're like, oh, I remember that class, yeah. But that was my favorite part, and also I really liked the location of my university, because for me, I'm not much of this like city girl. Like, I do not want to live in Shinjuku, like in the middle of Shinjuku, where you're near all the bars and stuff. I don't like that area too much, but I really loved my area because it was in the resident area. It was not too far from the city, but it was really close that I could just hop on a train for one way and I don't need to transfer. And I really like that location because my home, I want to say my home metro station was only 3 minutes away. It was like literally down the hill from my dorm, and that's it. So yeah, it was really awesome, and I loved it so much.
Did you live outside of Tokyo?
I lived in Tokyo.
Oh, okay.
I lived in the Bunkyo ward. Yeah.
Okay. Next week.
Yeah, next week.
We're going to talk about living accommodations next week, so that's why I'm stopping her now. Okay, my favorite part about the KCP program was the professors. They are super awesome people, and they care about everybody. They care about all their students. I know I didn't take advantage of the fact that you can go into their teacher room and actually talk to them and like talk to them about what you're not understanding, and they'll try and explain it to you in Japanese, mind you. They'll try and explain it in Japanese. But I had some really cool professors there. They were really awesome. Shout out to Saito Sensei. He was so patient with me. But he was really awesome. They have really great people there. They're just so nice. It's in a really great part of Japan. Okay, we're back. It's in a really great part of Tokyo. It's in the Shinjuku ward, and it's really close to the metro, and it's just a well-situated place. It's in the middle of everything, pretty much. And goodness, if I had to say that what my favorite part of the program was, it was probably just the teachers. They were just really supportive, and I miss them so much. I will be honest though, my classmates were fantastic and diverse as well, but we had people from everywhere there. But I don't keep in contact with them because of my living accommodation, but we're going to talk about that next week. But I just didn't really have a chance to connect with people outside of class. So, well, that wraps up about all of our predetermined questions for this. So if you guys have any questions you want to ask us in particular, there's only one person watching, I think. I can't really tell from this far away.
Yeah, there's one person.
But, if you've watched this after the fact and you have any questions, feel free to email japaneseclub@missouristate.edu, or you can comment on this video and I will see it, and then I will pose it to whoever it needs to go to, and or we will talk about it next week shortly, maybe. What did Yudai say? I see
He said it's me, so.
Hi Yudai.
Hi, Yudai.
Well, we appreciate Yudai. We appreciate you watching.
Constant support. Really appreciate it.
Well, so yeah, if you have any questions about the programs or anything like that, just comment on this video and I will make sure that it gets to whoever, and then I'll have them come back to this video and reply to you. Okay, do you guys have anything else you just want to say in general about your programs? That maybe we didn't talk about necessarily by a question?
Well, if you're planning to study abroad, do some research before you get yourself stuck in a program that you don't like.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you don't research enough and you get there and you realize, oh, I don't want to be left alone. I want people to contact me. Or, you get in a program that is too much hands-on. You're like, oh, I just want people to leave me alone. Then you'll be unhappy for the time you're there. And if you're unhappy, you'll have that image of Japan that, oh, Japan was really bad. I had a terrible experience. But, all in all, it was your fault because you didn't research enough. So you should...
It's all your fault.
Yeah, well...
It is.
Yeah, it is, though. And you can't blame anybody because you chose that. And you went through it. You paid all this money. You didn't get a good experience. So.
I disagree, but...
Oh, okay.
I guess we'll talk about that some other time.
Oh, why?
I did a lot of research on my program, and it wasn't my program's fault that I wasn't happy when I was in Japan. So that's another super
that's
long
for
topic.
another time. But
Yeah.
That's our
That's the
third
basis,
week,
though.
and just general topic is our third week.
Yeah.
Tips for success in Japan.
Yeah, I have more tips for that week.
But I would say, yeah, when you're choosing your program, make sure that you know how big the city is. Like, does it have transportation? Because those are two things that I really took into consideration before I chose Nanzan. Because I didn't want to go to Tokyo or Osaka or some place that had a lot of tourists, but I also didn't want to go to a super tiny town. And I thought Nagoya was the perfect place, and it was. So
That's good. Yeah.
Nagoya was really pretty. I liked it there.
Yep.
I would also go on her program. It was a really cool city. I liked it. And I also like Tokyo. So I'd go on your program too. I wonder, would you guys go on, if you were given, here we go. If you were given the choice to choose a program again, say like after the fact you're like, oh dang, I don't know if I like that program quite as much. I should have gone with my other option. Would you choose your program again or would you go with a different one?
I chose my program again.
You would?
I think for me, with the information I know now, and then me back then deciding stuff, made any sense. You know, I think I would change my location but stay with the program because I really like my program. But I found out that I don't really like the big city as much as I thought I would like to. But it was a good experience for me to notice that I didn't like that. And the problem with Tokyo is that everybody speaks English.
It's true.
Once you're outside, and you don't have that much motivation to speak in Japanese, because if they see you're a foreigner and then you try to speak in Japanese, they'll talk to you in English. They'll talk to you in English, so it kind of, your motivation to talk is kind of lowered. So for me, I would like to go to like the towns in Osaka or Kyoto, not in tourist area, but the farming area, if you know what I mean by that. Yeah.
I can't quite remember what my question was. Would I choose it again?
Oh, yeah.
I forgot my own question. I would definitely choose KCP again. I would actually choose to go longer than 3 months because I liked that I got through the level 1, but I would have really liked to have gone longer so I could have gone on to level 2 because I feel like you just in 3 months you just start getting accustomed to everything. You just get used to your life there and then you go back home. But I feel like, 6 months would be like you're accustomed to it now and now you can really hardcore study and feel like you're actually getting down to business a little bit. That sounds weird.
Yeah. That's actually a lot of problems that students have. Like, do I stay for a month, or a semester, or do I stay for a year? If I stay for a semester, then I won't learn as much. But I think it all depends on your goal. Like, if you want to learn Japanese, then maybe you should stay for a year. Or if you just want to have fun, you should just stay for a semester. Things like that.
Or just 3 months.
Or just 3 months, the summer. That's perfect.
To add on to the program length thing, yeah, actually, instead of talking about the program length, I think maybe if I could do it again, I would not have gone as a second semester sophomore because maybe I just wasn't mature enough and I didn't know enough about myself to have the best time that I could have.
See, I think that's opposite for me because I went as a first, second semester sophomore, but I liked it because I learned a lot about myself that I didn't know, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's fine, So for me, I thought it was good for me to grow that way, but other people are different.
I think if I had known what my future major was going to be, then I would have chosen to study abroad in my senior year, just because when I studied abroad, I was still an IT major at MSU, so I was just trying to fill out my Japanese minor. But now that I am a Japanese major, I really should have taken all of the Japanese classes available at MSU and then gone there, because then I could have fulfilled my Japanese major requirements so much easier. So I definitely, if I would have just chosen a different time, I would have chosen the same program, just a different length. Did you guys have to get visas for your programs?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the coordinators at KCP told us, if you're here for 6 months, you can just leave for like 3-4 days, go on vacation to Korea, and then come back and have your tourist visa,
Yeah.
Really?
Actually the paperwork is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, because you have to ship in your passport to get the visa, so you're kind of like, when am I getting it? You know, you'll have that stress on you, so don't do it to yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, kind of back to the how well supported did you feel thing. I didn't feel that supported by ISEP during the application process, and I had a lot of problems with my application because I guess they were switching over their system to a new thing, and it was just a mess. I didn't know if I was going to go because my documents kept getting lost and just, I don't know, weird stuff. So if you're going to study away, make sure you research like what your program requires and plan a lot in advance and expect to be stressed out and worried about everything.
And always get your mail. Always get tracking on your mail items when you're applying for stuff. Anytime you're applying for international stuff, always get that tracking number stuff, guys. It's worth the extra $5. Honestly, it's worth it. So before I get up, we're gonna go ahead and end it here for the night. It looks like we haven't got any questions. Sadness, but like I said, if you have any questions, comments on this video, we will pose it to whoever you want to ask it to, and we'll have them or all of us come back and answer it later. We're going to, so that was our program night. Next week we're talking about living accommodations, so like homestay versus dormitory versus your own apartment. What do you get there? And we're going to talk about that next week. So I hope that you guys will tune in same time next Friday, 5:30 p.m. Same time, same people, same awesomeness. Yeah. And I'm going to get up and turn this off now.
Bye. See you next week.
Have a nice weekend.